we're about operating a sustainable business, right? And protecting yourself legally. And through our personal experience, is like having that documentation is a great aid whenever things aren't going great.
When
Because
shit hit the
now
fan.
you have a blueprint. You have a game plan. It's not like
It's not emotions.
it's not emotions. It's like, look, this is what the contract says.
Them niggas scared to make that move. We can't relate to that. I roll the dice, shit. If I lose, I'm gonna be shaking back. Cause lessons learned within the loss just elevate the fact that trial and error just the only way. Ain't no escaping that. I wake up, hit 100 push-ups, then I'm at my route. Check on my stocks, see how they looking, then I'm sliding out. When you start seeing your progression, you stop having doubts. And what's the point of having clout if you can't cash it out? True to this game, and I'm a lifer, ayy. Feel like we finna change the cycle, ayy. That's the most success, you know we thriving, ayy. That's the most depression for our rivals, ayy. Could teach a lesson on survival, ayy. You know I'm from the bottom.
What's that with it, Wealth Builders? It's your boy, David Bellard, one of the founders of the Black Wealth Renaissance. Coming at you live, season 5. You already know what the deal is, man. I got my brother with me, my dog, Jalen Clark. Jalen, how you living, player?
What's popping with y'all, man? I'm doing great, dog. I can't complain. How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing fan-fucking-tastic. How's
I'm
black-tastic? Black-tastic. It's Black History Month, y'all. I'm blackity-black, black, y'all. I've been black 365, but we extra black.
I've been black since the womb.
Hey, you is kind of black.
Hey, man, I love it, too. Stop hating on my chocolate skin.
Hey, man, I ain't never been a colorist when it comes to the melanin.
Man. Well, yeah.
Just say you got the melanin, my brother.
Appreciate it. I got a whole lot of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But nah, y'all, this is last episode of the month. Is it gonna be a month? I don't know.
Nigga, they ain't gotta know that shit.
Shit, nigga. I'm just saying. I like to try to lead in and let them know we just had this event. You know what I'm saying? We could delete the shit if we don't have no event. We just had this event. Y'all stay tapped in. Stay tuned into what we have coming up next.
This is actually the first episode of March.
Ah, so okay, cool.
Just say something and punch in, and I'll just
cool. That's a bet. So we just wrapped up Black History Month. I'm feeling black-tastic, you know what I'm saying? We black 365 days of the year.
Yeah.
And man, we back at it again for another episode of the pod. I think as promised last time, we told y'all on the 22 lessons of 2022, we was gonna give y'all a couple more episodes where it's just Jalen and myself. Sharing some information, getting out some knowledge, and our perspective on a few different things. So that's what we here for today. It's going to be a personal pod. So y'all stay tapped in, tuned in to what we got to talk about today.
I'm ready for it, dog.
Let's
get into it, man.
So first thing I want to talk about is some stuff that I've seen recently, and that's the big legal wins of some black entertainers, entrepreneurs, that made me think about the larger conversation of protecting yourself in business.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that we don't discuss enough as a community. So very recently, flo-rida won his case against the company Celsius. He was awarded an $82 million settlement for, I think it was, the initial value was like $30,000 of options that he was supposed to be given in the company whenever he did a performance back for them. I think it was like in 2014, right? So it was a while ago, and the company never fulfilled their end of the contract. So he went through the legal process, and he was awarded $82 million on a case that was initially $30,000. And another case that was brought to my attention just recently, was with Jay-Z.
Mm-hmm. With the Bacardi situation, right?
So we reported about it on our page.
So before we get into Jay-Z,
yeah,
I kind of want to break down the flo-rida
get
situation
to
and
it.
everything like that. So flo-rida, he had an endorsement deal with Celsius, correct? So he had an endorsement deal with Celsius, and through that endorsement deal, it was money that was paid, but he was also issued shares of the company. So he was granted equity in the company, right? And what he sued for was a breach of contract for failure to award his stock options. Like once the, situation had ended and everything like that. And what he ended up doing is, once again, he had some lawyers review everything. And his big complaint was, it was a civil complaint that he increased the value of the company. And the partnership was from 2012 to I think 2014 or 2015. But it was from that period, right? And the company didn't go public until 2017. So what the company is saying is shares started off at this amount and ended up rising after our partnership, our deal was done with him. So how could he have increased the value of the company? But at the same time,
you didn't award the contract that you initially signed with him.
Exactly, because I still have the shares.
Yeah.
I still have ownership, and I didn't exercise that right.
So with his options, right? I believe it would have been the option to purchase. I think it was 250,000.
It was 250,000 shares.
250,000 shares of stock in the company, and we're talking pre-IPO prices. So while the company can argue that, it's hard to say that. Yeah, you can argue that he didn't increase the value directly, but we're talking about protecting yourselves legally in business, right? The way this contract is structured, you didn't do what you were supposed to do, and that's why flo-rida was awarded the win in this this situation, which I think is crazy to me. The fact that something that started off could have been minuscule, and I'm pretty sure like those 250,000 shares at the time weren't worth what anything near what they were now, right?
No.
Because Celsius is a company, I think they're also going through other legal troubles. They just had a scandal with for false marketing. Yeah, they had a class action lawsuit that was just placed on them because they were saying there was no preservatives in their drinks, and that was one of the things that helped skyrocket their growth. So it just kind of looked like shady business practices on their part. And I think that's part of why, like, the jury that was over this trial went ahead and awarded flo-rida the damages. And that was something that I thought was real interesting looking into this case, is that in court cases, when it comes to like breaches of contract and business, courts typically like to award damages in the form of monetary damages instead of giving like stipulations. So instead of just having them actually follow through, and like that would be like, okay, well, y'all got to sell them the stock options now. Y'all got to give them the 1% stock. It's harder for a court to enact that because it's still a public, it's still a business at the end of the day. Like, I'm not the people on the board. I'm not the people that's going to actually issue the shares. So it's a lot easier just to be like, hey, pay y'all money and keep it going.
And so with the thing I'm reading right now, right? One of the things is what we were talking about with Vernon on the previous episode is how he was talking about, with equity coin, I have to get a lawyer involved to exercise my shares and all of that. This is kind of that same thing, right? Celsius is now public and on a publicly traded company, but at that time, his shares were issued like paper shares. So with that, having them lawyers, having the right people, right, they were able to say that the company hit metrics and thresholds that were in the agreement for the endorsement deal, and they also didn't
award
whenever it was due.
Options.
Once again, going back to what you're saying with the poor business practices, right? Like the man he had your product in a song. He was
we put an agreement together, right? We said no different than the NFL contract.
Yep.
It's like, okay, you hit these statistics, you hit these metrics, NFL contract, a vested business agreement. These are the metrics that we need you to hit. If you can generate us $50,000 a month, or you can get our product to go from $10,000 in sales to $15,000 in sales, more people are coming and purchasing it. Like you said, at the end of the day, the metrics were hit, so you have to follow through with that contract. And if you don't follow through, you can end up getting bit in the ass a whole lot later for trying to do shady business shit.
And one of the things with the flo-rida thing, though, the company can appeal. They can appeal two separate ways. The first way is just by asking the judge to overturn it, and then the later way would actually by appealing the case to the state appeals court. So there is an opportunity for the company to possibly get it appealed, maybe to get the value lowered. But if it all stand,
I definitely
pay that man.
Think, like, even if they get the value lowered to what it would be currently worth, I think with like the valuation of the company,
worth $75 million.
I thought it was like 20 something mil for what the shares would be worth. Like 27 mil is a number that I had found.
I just saw like 75 mil is what flo-rida lawyers was saying that it was worth. And that was coming from Billboard, by the way, just for the source where I just pulled this from.
Yeah. So Billboard saying $75 million evaluation, right? Or for just those stocks in that company, 250,000 shares. That's nuts, bro. That's really nuts, the fact that they did not pay this man the shares then. Because think about what he might have sold that shit 4 years ago. But just because they didn't want to do what they were supposed to do, now you got awarded damage. And I feel like the chance of an appeal really is something that's significant. Like, I think that it could get lowered in a appeals court simply because like the damages awarded are technically worth more than what the shares themselves are. But who knows?
Whenever I said, if it stand, pay that man.
Speaking of men getting paid, bro, another one that I saw was Jay-Z.
Yeah, shout out to Hove.
Yeah, so we reported on the Black Wealth Renaissance page whenever it was initially coming out through Complex that Jay-Z had a potential legal issue going on with Bacardi over the Duce partnership. So they're 50-50 partners on Bacardi. I mean, Bacardi and Jay-Z's company, SC Liquor, they were 50-50 partners on the Duce brand. Jay-Z was stating that he had an option in their contract, right? We talking about protecting yourself legally right now. In your contract, the way his contract with them was structured, he had the option to sell his portion of the business back to them. So whenever he offered to sell his portion of the business, they hit him with a lowball number. And he was like...
He countered. He countered with $1.5 billion.
And whenever he countered with they hit him with $500 million for 50%. And he countered with $1.5 billion. And what Jay-Z was saying was that there was a lack of financial transparency. They weren't opening up the books the way they were supposed to.
And he also said that they weren't they weren't doing right by the brand of Duce as well.
They were trying to systemically undervalue it, taking steps to lessen the value of the brand itself so that they could buy it from him for cheaper. And shrouding the paperwork, because I think the actual company, so Duce was managed, like the company is owned by the Bacardi family, but it was a different company under their umbrella called Empire that manages all the business operations of the brand, and that was the company that was accused of the mismanagement and lack of financial transparency. But I say this to say, right, now Jay-Z's just been able to resolve this legal battle, and he was able to sell 50% of his stake in Duce. So 50% of his 50%, so 25% of the company, he sold to Bacardi and Empire.
So
and they cashed him out at $750 million is what the reported numbers are.
It's between 500 and 750 million.
I've seen 750 was the reported number, but I know we'll never get the exact number, right? Yeah. So between 500 and 750 for half.
Yeah, he sold a 25% stake.
And
so now Bacardi owns 75, he owns 25.
And he still retained ownership in the brand while also cashing out on a major bag. And that's simply because whenever he entered into this relationship all those years ago, it was about having the right contracts in place. And I know we talking about...
I kind of want to talk about that as well, the ownership piece, right? Him having this 50% ownership being a majority owner in the business, it did allow him to exercise this right? Mm-hmm. And a lot of times with business, especially in our community, people are always upset whenever people sell and exercise that right. Mm-hmm. But I like what he did because he sold portion of it, but he's still benefiting from the 25% that he's going to be a part of the company, right? He's still going to be able to get dividends and get payouts on the brand. And then it's also going to continue to keep on increasing the value, right? So now that the value is increasing, maybe that 25% might turn to $1 billion the next time he decides to say, okay, you know what? I'm done with the business. Let me get out of it.
That's a fact. And that's one of the beautiful things about ownership, right? Because I know you just said, like, a lot of times people in our community, they get real upset about people who own things selling them. And I'm a strong advocate of ownership, but ownership is about options. We've seen the same thing happen. Dr. Dre sold his masters. Mm-hmm. A bunch of people was like, he sold a portion of his catalog as well. So it's very similar to this Jay-Z thing. And a lot of people are like talking of it strictly from an ownership standpoint, where it's like, well, if he kept ownership, he will receive X amount of payout for years in perpetuity, which is true. But I think sometimes we don't often evaluate the opportunity cost of just taking that passive cash flow, and sometimes just going, what would be the benefit of cashing out? Because if I take this bag that I'm currently getting, like Dre was $200 million, Jay-Z is $315.
And I think Dre was making like $10 million a year off of the catalog.
So for Dre, right, $200 million cash out, $10 million a year off the catalog.
He'd have had to wait 20 years to get the 200 M's.
In 20 years, is Dr. Dre's music still as relevant as it is now?
I don't think that it's not. But at the same time, in 20 years, will he be able to benefit from the 200 million as well, right? Like you're saying, the opportunity cost. He gets the 200 million. What can he now leverage with 200 million? What type of...
He can go to the bank and get a loan.
What type of down payment is 200 million on, let's say he wants to go start a new business venture. Maybe he's creating some new product that we don't know about. Because we got to remember, he sold Beats by Dre as well to Apple.
Made half a B off of that one.
Like, so maybe he's planning that. Or maybe he's just like, you know what? I don't want to have to worry about that. I don't want to have to worry about making sure that DistroKid is sending me my royalties and all of this and that. Maybe I don't want to, really have to think about this while I'm getting old with age. Or maybe he's saying, you know what? I'm going to go buy me apartment complex, or maybe Jay-Z and some other rappers, they might be going to buy some type of NFL team or some type of team where, hey, you know what? I actually need this capital.
I think the issue is too, and now I'm thinking about it, I think too many of us think about what we would do with the money if it was ours, and they assume that just because it's not theirs, that the other person is doing it to fuck it off. And it's like, I don't think these people are selling these assets with the intent to just, all right, y'all, we got $20 million. Let's everybody just go waste this money and fuck around. Like, nah, I don't think that's the reality of it. I definitely think it's a situation where people are selling these assets to acquire more assets, because that's the game of wealth at the end of the day. Like, that's diversifying your portfolio. Like you said, they could be taking this and you could take the 200 million and go buy dividend stocks and get crazy dividends for the rest of your life. Like, it's other ways. You
just go put 10 M's on some fire dividend stocks, you're good.
But, like, it's always just kind of, I think sometimes it's looked at from a lack perspective. But I did want to get back to that conversation of just protecting yourself in business, right? Because I know we're talking about it high level with these multi-million-dollar transactions, but for the small business owner, everyday entrepreneur, that's something that's very, very critical. And you need to understand the type of agreements that you're getting yourself into. You need to understand that, like, whenever you're operating a business, especially like small business, you're new, you're coming into this world. You may start with friends, you may start with family, and a lot of times it's on some oh man, we got this great idea. We gonna make it happen.
I trust you. You trust me. We got good chemistry.
I
Things like
trust
that.
you.
Yeah.
You trust me. We're a happy family. The Barney song, nigga.
This nigga here.
But like, no amount of trust can help you. And we talked about this with Gene just recently, right? Like, yeah, you may know, like, and trust this person, but you don't know what's going to happen 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, 6 months down the line. If y'all take off or if the profits start coming in.
Even like Gene said, maybe they act a whole totally different way in business.
So it's incredibly important that we understand the things that we need to be having in place to make sure that we're protecting ourselves. So like, just when we starting from the very bare bones basics beginnings, whenever you forming an LLC, you going to the Secretary of State, you getting your business structure, you selecting the structure, you divvying up your ownership. There's this thing called an operating agreement that I feel like we don't talk about nearly enough.
At all. And a lot of people either tell you just get your generic operating agreement template offline and use that. But we had to learn personally, like, yo, this operating agreement, it does need to be specific, and you need to understand what's in that operating agreement. If you use something that's general and tailored, general in a template, you still need to understand what is your operating agreement, because you submitted this to the state and now you have to abide by this operating agreement.
This is legally whatever's what governs your business.
Exactly. It's basically like a marriage license or whatever. Like,
these are your business bylaws. Like, your operating agreement dictates how you're going to operate in your business, right? So when we say operating agreement, we're talking about who does what are roles and responsibilities, who owns what happens if it's time to sell?
I could tell you right now. So I'm looking at our operating agreement right now. I can tell you what we have in it, right? So the first part is the formation. This is telling you the formation of the business, what type of business it is, the structure, who's going to be the registered agents, what the certain definitions are, right? The second part of the operating agreement is the members and the membership interests. So
who owns what?
Yes, this defines who owns what and how much of what they do own. What are they interested in? Like, which parts of the business they actually can control.
Who put up money? Because that's another part of that, right?
Yes.
Who's invested what? Because chances are, when you starting a business, somebody may have capital, somebody may not. Who invested what? How does that break down into the splits? And not just on no handshake, hey, my dog, I trust you. Like, no, let's write it down and get it on paper.
Another part of the member is the admission of new members. What does it look like if your business does start to expand and you want to bring on another partner, right? You have to abide by whatever this is. So maybe, you got another person coming on, and now in your membership admission, it says, okay, each member has to give up 1% in order for, 1% equally, or whatever it is, whatever you put in that operating agreement, that you have to abide by that, right? It also goes into the rights and duties of the members.
Again, these are the governing bylaws. So like, what does each person's responsibility look like to the business? This is what you're supposed to do. This is what, by being an owner of this business, this is what this entails for you. Like, not just saying, because duties, we hear duties and like, okay, that's what you do. But rights, think about your rights as a human being. Like, what are the rights of being a business owner in this business? And that's specific to you. Like, as an owner of this business, you have the right and the option to sell should you want to sell, right? These are different things that you need to line out and discuss.
Actively be thinking about. So Article 3 goes into the management of the company, meetings and votings, right? So you need to understand who's going to be the manager of the company. This is the person who's going to be going to the bank. They'll be able to make withdrawals, be able to make different changes to the bank account and things like that. You need to define that, especially if you are a multi-membered LLC or partnership.
Especially if the work is divided differently, right? So that's something that we learn through experience. So if you're, again, different businesses, it may go into different, right? It might be 3 of y'all. One person just had the capital. The other 2 people were the people that was doing the work. So who's what? the manager, if the person who put the capital up not going to be working as much, right?
Why would you label them a manager?
Why would you label them a manager? They're not available to do those things. The people who are going to be operating the business day to day, those are the people who you should consider your managers.
There's also like terms for the managers, how long the manager should be doing it. Is it till death? Is it till they're removed? What is the resignation process like? All of that is defined in the operating agreement. There's also officers. Once again, meetings. This is something that, how is your business operating? Are you abiding by these meetings? If you're a corporation, you have to have these meetings. You have to have minutes. You have to have taxes. You have to have documentation. Like David said, this is going to be a part of your taxes, right? And this is a lot of things that people aren't talking about in business. This is how you play business for real. You have to have these things. You have to practice these things. It's not just having the things; it's practicing them as well.
So it's not. Yeah, I like you said that because it's not just writing out the operating agreement, right? This is like your business's Bible. This is your business's laws. This is the way your business lives. So it's like these things that you're writing out. These are the practices that you intend to enact in your business, and not just intend to, but follow through on. And by having this structure in place, it just gives you a clearer idea of what you're trying to do. And then I just want to continue to stress that part. When you stepping into anything, right? We seen the Jay-Z thing. He had an option to sell to the company, right? I think that the technical term for it in his contract was like a put option to sell his shares to the company. You need to, at whatever scale you are, discuss dissolution. If everything fell apart,
what does it look like?
If this great idea that we had didn't pan out, what does it look like? Who's responsible for what? If somebody want to take the mantle, what does that look like? What do the buyout terms look like? Is it, do we get an independent company to come in and evaluate the business? Are you able to name your price? Are we paying a residual royalty? How are we going to divide up this business if shit hits the fan and it doesn't go well? Because as we know, in business, 9 out of 10 businesses do not make it past 5 years. Mm-hmm. So if you're not, and this is not to say you're planning for your business to fail, but if you're not actively considering that possibility and putting the proper measures in place, you're doing yourself a disservice.
So, and some of the other parts that it goes into, like David was just talking about, the buyout. It goes into what is the transfer restrictions. It defines what's our fiscal year, right? Some companies' fiscal year start on October. Some companies' fiscal year start in May. So all of these things are things that have to be taken into account. Another part that I want to talk about is death, right? What if one of your members die?
What are the procedures?
You need to define that, right? Is the family of that person retaining the ownership, or does the company absorb the ownership and pay out the family? Mm-hmm. These are all things that you need to be thinking about, right? What is the
do you have insurance policies for that?
I was just about to get in. What is the surviving members and what are the insurance policies that are being taken care of, right? It's also determining how you determine your business purchase value, like you're just saying. Are you getting an independent company? Is it off of the revenue market value? Is it revenue value? What do you have to do to determine these things? Article 9 goes into scope of duties, indemnification. Why the fuck indemnification? I couldn't get that word off of shit. And advancement. But the whole thing with just bringing up this operating agreement, once again, is protecting yourself, making sure that your business is structured properly, making sure that your business has some type of guideline. And we didn't even get into like actual business plans as well. This is just one part. And we're not bringing this up to scare anyone, but we are bringing this up to make sure that you're prepared and operating your business properly.
Like this is what we all agreed upon. And for our multi-member LLCs, partnership people that do not have an operating agreement in place, or you're just operating under the state standard bylaws, I highly suggest that you sit down with your team and you can go through a generic version of an operating agreement and add on. But I highly suggest that you go through the process with a lawyer. It's very beneficial to have someone who understands how legal language and legal deals work, so that you're getting the best crafted and defined operating agreement for your situation where you and your partners are in alignment. Because unfortunately, things may not always go as planned, but if you plan for when things don't go as planned, you can prevent poor performance.
That's a fact. That's all I got on the operating agreement topic, bro.
Cover your ass. That's all I got on.
Cover your ass. Another topic. Netflix. The big flicks. They had everyone in disarray.
I think Netflix was dying.
They had everyone scared.
I've been saying Netflix ain't gonna make it. I'm a believer they're gonna lose the streaming wars.
Yeah, he been saying that shit since like 2019.
I'm telling you, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel for them boys. I don't think they did either. Let's talk about what Netflix just did.
So with Netflix, right? We all know that they've been saying for months, we're cracking down on the password sharing.
We not letting that shit fly no more.
We're cracking down on it. And there was an article that came out that Netflix was going to require the devices to tap into the home IP of wherever it's registered at every 31 days. Mm-hmm. So let's say, you're traveling out of country, backpacking in Europe, and you got your handy-dandy Fire Stick. These motherfuckers wanted you to travel back to America to tap back into your IP address. But a Netflix...
Which is obviously unrealistic.
Yeah, a Netflix spokesperson did state that those details came out prematurely and that wasn't fully the plan. But they are reneging on the password sharing.
Yeah, why do you think they're reneging on the password sharing? I'll tell you why. It's because when they seen the public backlash of...
I'm going to just let it go.
Yeah, fuck it then. Like, I'm not going to buy Netflix because I already got these other streaming services. It's like, well, we might as well just keep up. Because what Netflix has going for it right now is virality.
Virality and first to market.
With their content, right?
Mm-hmm. So, well, I was just saying first to market as a streaming service in general.
True. That's true. But sometimes first don't always mean best, right?
It's not, but it's still the fact that they established that brand loyalty way before everyone else.
But they established brand loyalty off of password sharing. Like it's funny. I seen a tweet they posted. It was like
sharing the password is love.
Yeah, and somebody like quoted them like, "This you? Hey, yo, Netflix, this you? Like y'all just said y'all about to stop this shit. I thought that was love, Like, but the culture that they've built around their company is one of that. Like password sharing, they released a report in 2019.
I ain't gonna lie. I used to always think they was crazy for allowing it to happen too. I ain't gonna lie.
They estimated that they was losing like $1 billion in revenue.
Jesus.
Every year due to password sharing, because think about how many devices it is that. Do you have a personal Netflix?
Bro, on my fucking PS4, I still got one of my college roommates' sisters' fucking shits signed in on my Netflix.
I'm saying, like, how many people do you know that actually have Netflix?
My grandma.
It's like one or two people.
My mama.
You typically know one or two people that have it, and then everybody else use their shit. So for them, like, again, while it's revenue wise,
it's hurting them with subscribe. Like, they have people logging in, but they're not gaining new subscribers.
So what I think that the solution that they've presented that I think is actually a lot smarter instead of just saying, hey, we're going to stop password sharing, they said, and this is just something that they pitched out. I don't know if they're actually going to follow through. They might renege like the password sharing. But they're going to start charging $3 for sub accounts on accounts. So if you're the person with your grandma who got the Netflix password and all the grandkids using it, now on top of her, what's Netflix, like $14.99 a month, some shit like that?
Some crazy thing.
On top of her $14.99, those other 5 profiles or whatever additional amount they consider a sub account, now it's going to be an extra $3 on top of it a month. And I think that'll stop people from canceling.
I'll pay the extra $3. I'll throw it to grandma. Yeah, let me have an account under your stuff.
I don't think it's terrible, but I still don't think Netflix is going to make it out.
Even if they did it for $5, I ain't going to lie, I think people would still pay it.
Yeah. I think it's still better than cutting the cord, but I definitely, like with the other options in the market, it's become harder because I know like that Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN package.
Mm-hmm. No, that is a hard one.
That's a doozy right there, player. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they quickly gain ground and streaming for that.
Paramount Plus is coming out. Like, whenever you start realizing some of the movies that a lot of these...
Yeah, they're doing direct release to Paramount Plus
Yeah,
now.
like, in some of the movies that these companies have, you're like, oh, damn, I didn't realize... I forgot that this was fucking Paramount, right? Like, even with Disney, right? You forget that Pixar is a part of Disney too. That's why they can stream both Wakanda Forever and Avatar.
They own Marvel. It's like, and that's where I see again. As I say, oh, you tripping with Netflix thing, man? Netflix is iconic. The doom, everybody know that. Netflix and chill, all these things. But it's like everything has a season, and just because you were the first to disrupt that market doesn't mean that you're going to be the best or the last.
I don't think Netflix going down without a fight, dog.
Have you ever looked into the cost of producing content for them?
Yeah, it's pretty astronomical. They're playing a long game.
They're playing a long game, and funding is drying up.
And one of the things for them is, with their original content too, the 2 movie part, because they've been playing the game of getting like awards and stuff like that, so you know it can kind of solidify them as well in the media space. But it's like they gotta have certain. It can't go just directly to Netflix. It actually does need to go to box office too. So that's another game that they were playing, was trying to get in the box office.
Think about Wakanda Forever going direct to box office.
You mean,
I mean to Netflix. Like, what benefit do they have from releasing direct to their platform other than virality?
That's it.
And virality isn't creating new subscribers.
I was about to say it's to get new subscribers, but all I'm going to do is say, hey, let me get your login right quick so I can watch this movie.
So, if you love Netflix, pay for that shit. If you like me, watch the ship burn and enjoy the show.
Watch the what?
The ship burn and enjoy the show. Because I'm telling you, I see next 5 years, bro. I definitely don't think they're going to be a premier streaming service. They might get blockbustered. The niggas that blockbuster might get blockbuster.
You want to put some money on it?
I'll put 5 on it.
5 what?
$5, nigga. 5 shares of Netflix. How about that?
5 shares of Netflix?
Yeah, their price fell down pretty.
So you will buy me 5 shares of Netflix in the next 5 years?
If they're around in 5 years, I'll buy you 5 shares of Netflix. We'll shake on it.
Yeah, I like that. I like getting stocks, y'all. Let's hope these niggas stick around.
I don't believe in them.
Hey, I want y'all to. We go time step all of this shit too.
On February 5th at 7:00 in Dallas, David Bellard said
he gonna buy me. Okay, so if I lose though, what you want?
That's a good question.
I play a fair game here.
If you lose,
I'll buy you 5 shares of whatever stock is equal or lesser value of with Netflix.
Sound good to me. Well, we gotta see share prices right now because them niggas might be in the shit.
Is it at the current price? We're doing it at the current price.
Yeah, I might buy you some fractionals. I don't know. Them niggas might be $1,000 a share.
That's why I'm making the bet, nigga. I need that.
I mean, man, God damn it.
Yes.
You got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, huh?
Be like Steve Harvey with that damn buzzer.
See what Netflix current price is. They're currently at $365.
Okay.
So they'll be like, yeah, I'm willing to do that. Okay. So you probably have to buy me like some Tesla or some shit like that. Because I don't see them making it. But next topic, man. What else we got to talk about?
Let's keep it rolling, man. Oh, shout out to our boy Scotty Smith.
Major
shout out to Lake Noir with the
Can we hit the horns on this joint?
Hell yeah, man. They ended up surpassing their crowdfund goal. Shout out to my brother Scotty.
Major shout out to Scotty. Yeah, that's a major win. Equity crowdfunding platforms and projects, we talked about it with Vernon this month, is like one of the things that created opportunities for us to get into these larger projects that typically you need to be a high net worth individual to do. You're able to get into these things and see some of the actionable benefits. We were just talking with one of his partners last week, and the way that play worked out is like chef's kiss, man. Like,
and I just want to get the numbers. Over 200 investors, over $500K. Congratulations, my dog.
Raised $500,000. They're going to be owners in a progressive 20-unit tiny home development that's going to be like a little kickback retreat. They got a lake in the middle.
Yeah, dog.
It's real pressure, man. Lake Noir going to be a dope thing. Y'all listen to that episode with Scotty. You know Lake Noir is going to be dope. We're going to have to go kick it out there, definitely. But, man, it's major. And I want to say, I don't want to mix no numbers up, so we will get Scotty on and talk numbers. But I think the valuation came back like 3X.
Yeah, the valuation came back nuts, dog. We're going to get him back on. We're going to talk about it.
Shout out to Scotty. Shout out to everybody pushing the wave forward and getting our people to invest. Equity crowdfunding, again, is another way just to get exposure. It's not something that's going to make you rich if you put $500 in, $1,000 in, but you can take your $1,000 and see what it would do on a deal of that scale.
Okay, let's get to the next topic.
Okay. So next thing, man.
Are we going to talk about this? Because I don't know if it's going to be as relevant.
Oh, man, I don't know, dog. I still think it's concerning.
It is concerning.
Yeah, so this Chinese spy balloon stuff, man.
That shit's crazy.
Nah, man. I, as an American citizen, I feel unsafe right now. I feel like my tax dollars is being wasted. We have the world's highest defense budget, and it's not even close. I think we're spending like 5x of what the nearest other country is spending. And you mean to tell me that yesterday Jalen bust my head and told me, because I don't watch the news, y'all. I don't really be knowing what's going on. He's like, yeah, bro, you know there's like a spy balloon from China that's currently flying over the United States? I'm like, hold up. Wait a minute. What the fuck you talking about?
It was actually two. It was one over North America and South America, too.
So, again, hold up. Wait a minute. What the fuck are we really talking about here? So, this balloon flew from, you said Idaho? Canada. From Canada down to South Carolina, North Carolina. And whenever I finally learned about it, that's the moment they shot it down. And I'm like, so this shit flew all over the country. And then we shot it down. My question is, why? Why did it take so long? And why are we okay with Chinese surveillance?
So, as my guy Arion said, they didn't know how big the equipment was, how big the payload was that was attached to the actual balloon. It was like 40,000 feet in the air. Mm-hmm. So like it's,
80,000 feet in the air?
It's fucking high.
When you're on a plane, nigga, if you're
like 30,
20,
40,
20 is pretty high on a plane.
Like 30, 40.
I don't think I've ever been 40 on no passenger flight.
You probably been like 35.
35 was the highest I've been on the passenger flight.
I think I might have been 38 at one point.
But to say
Anyway.
that's twice as high as we typically fly, right?
Yes, it's pretty freaking high. So they didn't know if they shot it down, what it would look like that coming back down to Earth. So that was one of the reasons why our government stated that they didn't shoot it down over the continental.
I think that makes sense, though. You know what I'm saying? That shit fall and smash somebody's house, and
or right in the middle of a freeway,
Yeah.
So that's why they didn't shoot it down over the continental U.S. But I still do call bullshit because they could have shot it over a lot of farmland that it was over. Like, that shit was over the plains for a little bit.
Whenever it was over the middle of the middle section, ain't too many people living in that part.
Yeah, man.
Wyoming, Montana.
And all, yeah, man. If you live there, I'm not shitting on you. I hope that your home is nice and everything like that. But I know it's not as heavily populated.
Man,
as
I
some of
see
the
the statistic
states.
when I was a kid. They said in Wyoming, your nearest neighbor is on average like 10 miles away.
That's ridiculous.
Nigga, you could have shot that shit down over Wyoming. ain't shit out there. That's basically what the fuck is going on.
I'm not gonna say you are shit if you live out there. You are a bundle of joy. But yeah, so they didn't shoot it down. Something that I said is, man, I gotta stop fucking with TikTok, dog. If these motherfuckers this bold to go ahead and send a big balloon over us, what they doing with TikTok, man?
Oh man, they reprogramming our kids' minds.
I gotta stop fucking with it, man.
So you ain't on TikTok no more? I ain't gonna lie.
I'm about to delete the app off my phone.
I'm still on TikTok, but my concern has grown tremendously. The fact that, so I'm thinking about this. Like, I'm a student of history. I love history, right?
Me too.
The United States, since basically the Revolutionary War, with the exception of 9/11, has never had an attack on its soil. We start thinking about who we are in the world. We've been the world's economic superpower for the better part of a decade now. I want to say we became the reserve currency back in right after World War II.
Yeah. So
early 50s, late 40s, somewhere in that range. And what was that damn president?
Almost 100 years.
Who was the speak softly and carry a big stick?
Was that Theodore Roosevelt?
I think so. And then there was the Monroe Doctrine. So globally, we've been basically bullying motherfuckers with our military for a long time. Our military. So where have we fallen in the United States to a country like China is yeah, we could try this shit because we about to be the world's next economic superpower. So I just think it's interesting to see. I'm definitely going to keep paying attention to trends and seeing what does that mean for our country to no longer be the premier. Because I think we often as the United States just take that for granted. But I think in our lifetime, we might see that shift actually occur.
So
we'll be more like a Britain.
Being a student of history, I was just about to say that. Being a student of history, right? You got to go look back. Who were the world superpowers before us? Britain was
the most recent.
Was the most recent before them. Before the British, who was it? It was Spanish and Portugal. Spanish and Portugal, right? So you got to go see. Okay, what happened with them, and what do their economies look like now? Because I think you have to understand what is a developing economy, developed economy, and mature economy. And I feel like we are getting to that mature economy part now. And looking at what Britain has went through, I feel like if you aren't the world superpower, you also not looked at as to be big brother. Help me.
It would take a lot of that inflationary pressures off our money. I'll say that. Because shit like Ukraine won't happen. Oh yeah, we need to send 10 Bs over there because
nah, nigga, we sent more than 10 Bs.
I don't want to talk about the number. We hitting our debt ceiling and we over here talking about we giving out money like candy to the Ukraine.
Like Oprah in this bitch.
You get a tank. You get
a Sam Torrent.
Oh God.
But I am praying for the people over there. But yeah, I think that's a conversation that does need to happen, is looking at what those economies look like and what those previous world powers look like now that they aren't there. Once again, even though people don't look at Britain as, the go-to, Britain still is
one of the premier world economies.
It's
for a while, their dollar was still worth more than ours. The euro was still worth more than, and I think the Great British Pound at 1.2 was worth more than the U.S. dollar. Cause I'm glad we're having this conversation because I think people think Rome when they think the end of
a civilization,
right? Or the current standing of our civilization. It's like America will never be great again, but it's that doesn't necessarily have to be the case. But with the way we're trending, we just wouldn't be
number one.
That might be good for us. Who knows? Because America need to focus on itself.
As long as our military number one, I don't have no problems.
As long as they securing that dollar, huh?
Hell yeah! But once again, my faith is not fully invested in them right now. Yes, what's the next topic, man?
So last topic I wanted to get into was lessons of the month. I think that's lesson that I've learned, continuing just off the 22 lessons in business, man, placing high value on delegation and automation. So taking as many tasks as you can and allowing automation and being able to delegate things is going to be very paramount to the success of your business, right? You have a certain set of gifts, skills, and talents as an individual. We all do. And sometimes in the solopreneur mindset, we get in the habit of thinking that our gifts, skills, and talents transfer to every arena because we had to be that person for the business starting out. But as you start making a little bit of money, as you're not using your business as a personal bank account, as you're starting to grow and scale, one of the things that I think is very important and paramount that we just keep having this conversation, because again, we're talking about sustainable business. When it comes to reinvesting profits, what does reinvesting profits looks like? And reinvesting profits should be into tasks that you delegate and softwares and processes that can help you automate things that you're doing manually to keep the business flowing. So for us, what is that looking like right now? That's expanding from just having one person do everything. Okay, I'm the email person. I'm the I do emails. I do social media. I do all these things, right? You're all these things for your business. Take some of the money that you're making and use it to pay somebody else. So it's okay, you were writing all your own emails. Now you pay this person to write your emails. And it slowly but surely allows you to buy your time back and increase the effectiveness of your business. Because now, instead of you being scattered all over the place, and I wish we'd have got a chance to talk to Brother Dre earlier, because that's something he always talks about, being a focused entrepreneur. You're, instead of being scattered all over the place and diverting your efforts to 10 different things, which are all important, you can focus on the thing that best suits your gifts, skills, and talents.
I like that. Lesson of the month.
Yeah.
Delegation.
And automation.
Yeah, automation is definitely can help you out a lot. But that delegating piece is huge. Just not always taking on the force on your own.
I try. I'm struggling with it still. I ain't gonna lie.
Nigga don't listen.
And I'm getting better, nigga. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all gonna be at once, but I'm getting better step by step. What would you say was the biggest thing you learned this month, man?
The biggest thing I learned this past month, practicing good stewardship. I think we were having that conversation last night. I was just reading the book Profit First. I finally finished Suzanne's version, and she just talked about stewardship. She talked about, not taking your gifts for granted, making sure that you're doing everything that you can to 10x and multiply those gifts and give it on to the world. Even talking to Mr. Clive, that was kind of like the same thing, right? Like,
Shout out to Clive Soiree's Coffee Bar. Yeah,
it's not. This business is not my business. It is a business that God gave onto me. So it's not my responsibility to make sure that it's going to be what I want it to be. My responsibility is to be a good steward to God and follow
to the people,
to God and the people, right? To follow the I'm not going to say, I'm trying to see. To follow and practice what he gave me. Mm-hmm. And also to amplify what he gave me, right? So whatever skills, whatever talents he put in me, I need to amplify those, but I also need to be a blessing onto the people and exemplify him through that by practicing good stewardship.
That is major, man. And practicing good stewardship looks different in everybody's business. Definitely, I think a word that keeps coming back to me, and that is serving. It's like not being into your own self-interest. I think I was having that conversation. We was talking about this yesterday as well. Just like the person who only wants wealth for their own reasons is a selfish person, and that person won't find fulfillment. And that's a lesson that I think I'm internalizing as well, because it's like at the end of the day, you're the reason the wealth will be created is because you're offering some type of service or value. Mm-hmm. And that the service or value, once you scale up and delegate and automate and all these things, if you're only using it for self-indulgence at that point, it was all for nothing because you're not being a good steward anymore. You're in the position now. You've built the business, but you're no longer practicing the principles that got you there.
That's good. Even with self-indulgence, right? I've been retapping into outwitting the devil, and that's something that he spoke about as well. That's one of the ways that he gets people into hypnotic rhythm is through overindulgence, whether that be through food,
gluttony,
whether that be through sex, or
what's the proper word? Promiscuousness,
or through money, greed, through greed. So gluttony, like you said,
promiscuity. That's the
promiscuity or greed, right? So what the book talks about is if a person can't control these three things, they're going to be a drifter through life, because if you can't control your gut, you're never going to have internal control, because you're putting anything into your body. You're not you don't know how to say, okay, this is enough food, I'm done, I'm full. So now I can sway you with anything if I know how to get to you through food, or if you don't have control over sex.
Health issues.
Yeah, you're gonna have health issues. If you don't know how to control your sex drive.
How many great men have we seen fall because of that?
I can sway you, persuade you that way.
All I gotta do is pull on your pecker.
Or, and the thing, it wasn't even just pulling on a pecker, it was flattery. Flattering someone through their sexual urges and things like that, right? And one of the things that that the book talks about is transmutating sexual energy into something that's greater, right? It's okay to have sex, like it's a part of life, but don't allow sex to be the only thing that propels you, and transmutate that energy. If you feel like, oh man, I'm horny out, maybe you like to beat your meat, masturbate, or whatever you like to do, right? And if you're doing that 3-4 times a day, though, you know how much
you are a fiend.
You know how much more times you can be doing something productive instead of actually participating in that.
And sexual activity, sexual indulgence.
Exactly.
It's not just like you said, masturbating, sex itself.
Even just the time that you're thinking about sex, like thinking about it. Exactly. Like, that's so much energy that you can be putting into other things that can propel you forward through life. And the last one, once again, the greed. If I can sway you with money, I can get you to do anything.
That's a fact.
If I put a big enough bag in front of your face, I can get you to do anything.
That's deep.
So that's some of the things that
you got to be standing on your principles and morals at one point. It got to be integrity. Money can't be the only thing.
That just goes into that selfishness and
self-indulgence at the end of the day.
Self-indulgence, yes, sir.
Don't be self-indulgent. Be a servant.
I like that. It might be the title of the pod for this one. That's good. Shit, you got anything else, my brother?
No, man. Y'all just keep tapping in and rocking with your boys, man. Hope y'all enjoyed this brief episode. Like I said, we're going to get these out at least once a month. We're going to be talking about different topics that affect us in real time. Offering our perspective, offering some information that should be able to assist you. We're really focusing on helping business owners grow this year. We're talking about sustainable business because not enough of us are talking about it. I really do think that our community would benefit from having more realistic conversations about business, not just the stuff that gets likes and clicks and follows, right? Because, I mean, we all know the stuff. We've made jokes about it multiple times. These are things that have helped us grow our platform, right? The hacks, the plays, the things like that, those are good. They're sexy, but those aren't sustainable.
It's not substance.
It's not sustainable. Like, we talked about it on a couple of the episodes recently, like the G-Wagon thing, right? It's a joke now, but whenever it was in the height of it,
everybody had one.
Everybody had one. It was like getting business credit to buy a G-Wagon. George, me and him was talking about it. It was like there are people that got business credit, levered themselves up to the teeth, and bought things that weren't revenue-generating assets because they were trying to run a play instead of building a sustainable business. So
the one lady who got $2 million in PPP loans, bro, they went to her house.
Ass whooped,
bro, they went to her house. She had 3 luxury vehicles in the driveway, and they stated that she had some
body done, right?
Yeah, body surgery and everything like that. But it's like you got to pay that money back. It's a PPP loan, not grant, nigga.
She heard forgivable and thought her situation counted.
Not for a fake ass, bitch.
Yo, buying a fake ass with a PPP loan is crazy.
It's pathetic. That's what it is. Shit.
Now you got to say that.
Yo! Come on, man. Let's wrap this shit up, dog. Let's wrap this shit up. This thing is crazy. That poon.
We don't need no liquor. We crazy enough as it is, man. But nah, man. Yeah, we wrapping this thing up. Man. I forgot what I was talking about.
Nah, man. I just want to say thank you to all the listeners. Once again, y'all keep on tapping in. This episode, we're not always gonna just give the highlights and all that. Like, we want to make sure that you guys are really running sustainable businesses, that these businesses are able to grow, making sure that you're thinking about exit strategies in your business. Once again, it's okay to sell if you're selling to level up. Maybe the business is stressing you out and you've done a lot of work and you've got it to a really nice, valuable situation. Sell it while it's valuable versus when it's undervaluable.
Yeah. I don't know. We just keep saying we're gonna wrap up. I think about Chinese restaurants. Now that you say that, like, there's Chinese restaurants are gonna be a thing of the past.
You think so?
Yeah, because think about how Chinese restaurants are ran. They're typically family businesses, and they never focus on an exit. They just make the money, and then their exit is getting their kid to do something better than working in a Chinese restaurant. So
I don't know. I feel like Chinese food is always going to be here.
No, I'm talking about like the family-owned Chinese restaurants. Okay. They have a bunch of Panda E's and Payways and shit like that.
I could see that, maybe.
Just saying. Interesting. It's something I was reading about it. But let me shut the fuck up. Again, y'all, thank you for tuning in. Another installment of the Black Wealth Renaissance podcast. 5-star rating and review for you boys. If you're looking for business funding, go to blackwealthrenaissance.com/funding. Sustainable ways to grow your business. That's what we here for. And until next time, this is Black Wealth Renaissance signing out.
Peace.